dinner with a puppet. So there we were, gathered around the table for our usual Sunday family dinner. My mom had gone all out, making her famous roast beef, and my dad was already 2 beers in, telling his favorite fishing stories again. Everything was going as expected until Aunt Linda walked in holding the hand of a man who looked suspiciously stiff. She introduced him as her new boyfriend, Chuck. We all exchanged glances, trying to be polite while silently wondering if Chuck had undergone some questionable Botox procedure or was just a really intense mime. As dinner progressed, Chuck remained eerily silent, nodding occasionally and occasionally shifting in his chair, but never uttering a word. Aunt Linda, on the other hand, couldn't stop talking about how they met at a puppet show, which, in hindsight, should have been our first clue. Despite his silence, Chuck seemed to have everyone captivated, especially when Aunt Linda would pause mid-sentence, and Chuck's mouth would suddenly start moving, as if on cue, delivering punchlines that left us in stitches. It was a bit unnerving, but undeniably entertaining. Things took a bizarre turn when my cousin Joey, ever the prankster, decided to test Chuck by offering him a bread roll. Aunt Linda, without missing a beat, started throwing her voice, making it sound like Chuck was cracking jokes about gluten and how he needed it to survive. The whole table was roaring with laughter, and Chuck, or rather Aunt Linda, was on a roll, no pun intended. It became a game, each of us trying to stump Chuck with questions, only to be met with witty comebacks that seemed too clever for a guy who hadn't blinked once. By the end of the night, we were all convinced that Chuck was the life of the party, even if he was a little wooden in his delivery. As we bid Aunt Linda and her boyfriend goodbye, my dad, still chuckling, asked, "So Chuck, do you ever talk back?" Aunt Linda, grinning from ear to ear, replied for him, "Only when I'm pulling his strings."